Good evening and welcome to my review of Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. And in this review you'll be provided with some entertainment and maybe some laughs. But one thing absolutely will not be any spoilers. So please hit like and subscribe and get ready for my review of Nosferatu. In the 1830s, Thomas Hunter travels to Transylvania to get a high-profile client named Count Orlok to sign some property papers.
Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic.
Hey, wait a minute. So, I'm going to go ahead and make this easy for a lot of you. So, if you're a fan of the original Dracula of Bela Lugosi, or even a big fan of Bram Stoker's Dracula, which Francis Ford Coppola directed, you're going to be noticing a lot of similarities here. You'll probably notice things like characters being very similar, but just a little bit different, and even story structure being pretty much the same, but there's a reason for that, and I'll tell you. And if you're going into this movie blindly, that's still okay. This information will still benefit you, so listen up. The original book, Bram Stoker's Dracula, was released in 1897, and the film Nosferatu was released in 1922. And well, openly, Nosferatu was known as the unofficial knockoff of Bram Stoker's Dracula. Names of characters were changed to avoid copyright, but regardless, the original film of Nosferatu was pretty well received. Over the years, we got plenty of Dracula films, and we did get a Nosferatu film in the 1970s, but we even got a comedic horror movie based on the making of Nosferatu, which starred Willem Dafoe and John Malkovich. But a real major studio remake of Nosferatu didn't really happen until now. Nosferatu 2024 is directed by Robert Eggers, who also directed the film The Witch and The Northman. And let me just say, Nosferatu 2024 is exactly what I wanted and expected it to be. It was dark, it was moody. Yes, it did follow plot points of Bram Stoker's Dracula, but it also wasn't just a rehash of the original Nosferatu film. It managed to do homage, and it managed to add things to the story. Something that I very much appreciate is we don't really get a good look at Count Orlok at all. He is very much a dark, shadowy figure, and oftentimes he's very much in the background, and I think it's probably for the best. And we've seen Dracula plenty of times, either as a suave guy with slick black hair, or even as a charming knight with some amazing curls. And don't get me wrong, we've seen Nosferatu a couple times, but never like this. He looks more like Dracula's strung-out cousin on hillbilly heroin. And I do think it's for the best that we don't see Count Orlok very much and that they kept him in the shadows, because every time we got a small glimpse of him, my mind would wander and I would think of every character I could think of that looked kind of similar to him. And it's actually quite a lot. And what I really liked about Nosferatu is that he really embodies sickness, in particular, the plague. Everybody that seems to encounter Orlok is either left with dread or just complete melancholy. Nicholas Holt's performance as Thomas is so good. He is so drastically terrified and becomes ill of Count Orlok whenever he encounters him. He becomes so scared that he almost looks like he transforms into James Marsden. Listen, I refuse to believe that I'm the only one that forgot that that was Nicholas Hoult and not James Marsden. And hell, why haven't James Marsden and Nicholas Hoult been in a movie together? Were they brothers? Come on, Hollywood. Lily Rose Depp, her performance is very much like what you would expect to see in a possession film. From her being absolutely terrified because something is coming after her, to her performance changing into someone that's being taken over by something. I must say, very, very well done. Bill Skarsgård's performance as Count Orlok is, well, what I expected it to be. It was great. And he's definitely no stranger to heavy makeup or prosthetics or even playing supernatural characters. However, this is the first time he's playing a character where I realize I can't tell that it's him. Something that's been very popular with the character of Dracula is the voice, and Bill Skarsgård does an amazing job with creating a voice for Count Orlok. Willem Dafoe, so he is no stranger to a Robert Eggers movie. He's not even a stranger to vampire films. Hell, he's even played Nosferatu before. I was even waiting for a moment like this in the movie. You know, I played a bit of Nosferatu myself. Dafoe did a great job of playing a Van Helsing-like character, Professor Von Franz. Honestly, there is not one bad performance in this movie, and Aaron Taylor Johnson really shines in this movie, and I'm really glad he got to, especially after that movie, Craven. Ralph Neeson is really good in this movie, and I was really happy to see him in yet another Eggers film. The movie has a real dark tone, and between the shadow of Orlok bringing dread and death, you can really feel its impact. But when Dafoe comes into the picture, he really kind of brightens it up a bit. I'm just going to go ahead and say this, but I kind of wish we got a Hopkins, Van Helsing, and Von Franz team up.
Hey!
And speaking of rats, I give our director a lot of credit for using actual real rats in this movie, and there are a lot of them. It seems like a very rare thing to see real live animals on the big screen, and I'm really glad he used a lot of real rats because I felt like they brought a lot more impact to the film, especially when dealing with the plague. You know, between his style, the actors that he chooses, the locations of his films, the time setting, I always forget that Robert Eggers is just a young American guy. Because in my mind, I'm picturing Casanova Frankenstein as the one who's behind the camera. Honestly, if I had any complaints about the movie, I would say I wish I got a little more background story on Nosferatu himself and the character of Ellen Hunter, because I kind of feel like those parts kind of went over a little too quickly. But I guess I could use the first 10 minutes of Bram Stoker's Dracula to fill in those gaps, I suppose. I really appreciated the on-location filming, the sets, the costumes, the makeup, the special effects, the performances, and I was really glad this movie was not a CGI fest. My rating for Nosferatu, go see it on the big screen. It's a good looking movie, and I definitely would say it's worth the price of a matinee ticket. Alright, so hopefully I wasn't being too harsh or too honest or give anything away. Alright, Nosferatu, did you see it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you disappointed in this movie at all? Or was this movie exactly what you expected it to be? Have you even heard of the Nosferatu character before this film? Comment below and let me know. Alright, so please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I'm Mike the Movie Misfit, and I'll see you at the movies.
Lisa, vampires are make-believe, just like elves, gremlins, and Eskimos.
Get more out of life. Go out to a movie.